Thanks everyone for joining today. We really appreciate you taking the time. My name's Josh. I'm the product marketing manager for Collect here at CreditorWatch, and I'm joined by Shreya, who is our product specialist for Collect. What we want to do today is pretty simple. We'll talk you through why accounts receivable still feels harder than it should. We'll talk through what good looks like, and then we'll take you through the product so you can see how Collect actually works on a day-to-day basis. Just a quick housekeeping note before we get started. We won't be taking live questions during the session, but if you have anything to ask afterwards, you'll receive a follow-up email after the webinar. Just reply to that and the team will get back to you. There'll also be a poll at the end where we'll ask if you'd like our sales team to be in touch. So you can also fill that out and we'll reach out to you. Cool, so let's talk about why accounts receivable still feels harder than it should, because it's something we hear from every team we speak to. First off, money gets left on the table. It's not because people aren't doing their job, but because overdue invoices slip through the cracks when you're dealing with high volume of customers and a high volume of invoices. Secondly, more time doesn't always mean more payments. So time spent each week sending reminders, updating spreadsheets, chasing customers doesn't necessarily equal extra cash coming in. And that kind of leads us to the next point, which is because it's unclear who to chase next. So we know that accounts receivable isn't necessarily just about how many days overdue an account is. It's about understanding which customer's behavior is signaling that they might fall behind or might need a proactive follow-up. ERPs, they're excellent systems of record, but they're not necessarily built to manage relationships. So they'll handle the follow-ups, they'll handle the timing and personalization, but they won't sort of manage those relationships as well as the tools needed for an accounts receivable team. And finally, it's hard to scale. So as soon as you grow, the manual work compounds unless you keep adding more people to keep up. So I guess the big takeaway here is that these issues aren't about capability or effort. They're about having tools and processes that support a more structured, more prioritized and consistent collections approach. So when collections are running well, a few things sort of stand out straight away. First off, you have clear visibility of what's overdue. It's not just a long list of invoices. It's a simple picture of where things actually sit and what needs attention today. Secondly, follow-ups are happening automatically in the background. You're not relying on somebody remembering to send an email or update a spreadsheet. The routine work kind of just quietly takes care of itself in the background. Third, your teams can prioritize smarter. So instead of treating every overdue customer the same, you know which accounts matter the most and where your team should allocate their time to have the highest impact and to get the most money back for your business. And finally, it's easy for customers to pay. So the fewer steps that they have to take, the faster the money comes in, the fewer excuses you'll hear, and also just the better customer experience you'll be providing for your end users. The whole idea of best-in-class collections is that the process feels organized, it's predictable, it's light for both your team and your customers. And that sort of brings us on to where Collect fits. So Collect is right in the middle of your accounts receivable process. It's the part that actually drives the follow-up, the prioritization, and the communication that gets you paid. It's purpose-built accounts receivable collection software. So instead of working across spreadsheets, across inboxes, manual lists, everything's structured and automated and sits in one place. Collect significantly reduces the manual work because reminders, workflows, escalations all run automatically in the background, which will hopefully free your team up to focus on the real conversations and the higher value accounts that need that sort of human intervention. It helps businesses get paid faster by making it clear which customers need attention and why. We also integrate with payment portals, Stripe and WorldPay, so customers are able to pay directly from the invoices and the teams know exactly where their time will have the biggest impact. Importantly, Collect gives you a simple, real-time view of your entire collections process, what's overdue, what's progressing, and where the pressure points are. The visibility is kind of what helps your team stay organized and stay ahead of any potential issues. which kind of brings us onto the numbers. So for customers who've been using Collect, we consistently see strong improvements in how quickly they get paid. So the first number here is a 52% reduction in ADD, which stands for average days delinquent. So in simple terms, it's how late customers are paying you once an invoice is past its due date. So when ADD drops, it means customers are paying you closer to the date, the due date, instead of drifting further overdue. The second number is a 13% reduction in DSO, which is days sales outstanding. So that looks at the overall time it takes to get paid. So from the moment you send an invoice right through to when the cash hits your account. So together, lower ADD and DSO mean two things. First off, your follow-ups are happening earlier and more consistently. And then second, your team is spending more time on the customers who actually count. To give you a sense of scale as well, Collect has processed more than 3 million invoices. Average invoice value is around $2,800. So I'm just going to take you really quickly through the key parts of Collect that make this possible, and then I'm going to hand over to Shreya, who's actually going to take you into product and demo it for you. So like I said, won't go too deep into the slide. I think the demo is going to bring it to life, but at a really high level, Collect helps across the full collection cycle. So we've got workflows which automate your follow-ups. So SMS, emails and calls go out based on timings and behavior rather than memory. They're predictable and scheduled to hit the right people at the right time. Dashboards give you a clear visibility of what's overdue and what's moving. Reminders are personalized and scheduled, so customers aren't getting generic please pay messages or ad hoc communications that are scheduled to hit at the right times. We also integrate directly with ERPs and payment portals so that data syncs and your customers can pay easily. Collect also lets you start with friendly reminders, and because we're part of the CreditorWatch brand, we can also escalate those to CreditorWatch branded letters of demand for kind of increased credibility. And if needed, we can also move it to external credit or without leaving the platform. So all of this is essentially designed to reduce noise and help your teams focus. Cool. So from here, we'll walk through Collect Live. I'll hand over to Shreya, who will show you what it looks like on a day-to-day, how teams see what's overdue, what to chase next, and how follow-ups can run automatically. So over to you, Shreya.
Thank you, Josh. Let me quickly share my screen and we can see Collect in action. All right. So once we log into Collect, you can start with the dashboard, which is really a control tower view. As you rightly said, Josh, Collect is a purpose-built for accounts receivables. So from an accounts receivables perspective, you can see all your important numbers on a day-to-day basis. At the top, you can see your balance due, overdue, and what's collected this month. If I go down, I can see a breakdown of my aged receivables, so from 0 days all the way to 90 plus days. And all of these graphs are interactive, so you can actually click into any of these and see which accounts are sitting in here as well. If I go down further, we have got our important accounts receivables matrix, DSO and ADD. I know, Josh, you just touched on it, but it's very important to track this over a period of time to see how your ledger is performing, but also to see the effectiveness of Collect. We generally see this go down significantly for our clients, and that just shows a clear ROI on a platform like Collect. From here on the right-hand side, we've got actions for today. So on the top, you can see how many emails, SMS, and calls are due to go out, if there are any expected payments, and then your entire activity feed, which is basically everything that goes in and out of Collect. You can see a bird's eye view, whether it's emails, calls, SMS, or any replies from your customers as well. So that comes up here along with the timeline. So it's all consolidated in one place for you. From here, I would go into the workflows, which is essentially the core of the platform. And this is where we decide how we will be communicating with your customers. You can actually set up your end-to-end collections process in here. So just as an example, we can start with an overdue workflow. Let's say we send 4 emails, 2 SMS, and 1 call. If we don't receive the payment, we can escalate it to the next level, which can be final demand. This is where we actually send them letters of demand. You can use your company logo if you want. You can also use CreditorWatch logos in here, and they're all automatically built within the system. From there, you can move them into something like registering a default or into debt collection. But having said that, you maybe don't want to treat all your customers in the same way. So you can have different workflows for different group of customers. As an example, if you have any key accounts or strategic accounts, maybe where you want to have less touch points, or maybe you want to just keep them on calls, we can have a completely different workflow for them. Similarly, if there are any accounts which you don't want to get any reminders from Collect, we can put them into something like an holding workflow where we don't send them any emails. I think it's very important to highlight that these workflows are custom built for each of our clients. So depending on what your credit management strategy is, we would be building these workflows accordingly. To show you a little bit more detailed on how this works, I'll just jump into one of these. So everything in here works around the invoice due date, which we'll pick up from your invoices, of course. You can actually send the first reminder even before the due date. So that's a good way to be proactive with your collections. I know when I get those reminders for my utility bills, it prompts me to make those payments, and it will impact your cash flow in a positive way. And then each following reminder can be after as many days as you'd like. To show you a quick example of these email reminders, so these actually go out of your preferred email address. So it's as good as you sending the emails yourself. The message and tone can be customized by you. And then we've also got a pay now option in here where your customers can click on it and make the payment on the go. So we use payment providers like Stripe and WorldPay, which just add that added convenience for your customers. They can just simply click on pay now, put in their card details, and the money comes into your bank account. And at the bottom, your customers can also see the entire account summary. So everything that's overdue and upcoming with all the details of the invoice in them. So when you're sending out these reminders, you know it's a very comprehensive email with a call for action within those reminders. Similar to that, if you would like to have that extra touch point with SMS reminders, you can of course add that in as well, and you can add a payment link in there too. Going back into the workflows, I would say emails and SMS can be fully automated. So that means that you know your customers are getting those reminders on time professionally and nothing is being missed out. It's only when an account comes into a phone call reminder, that's when someone needs to pick up the phone and have that conversation. So I'll show you in a bit what these call queues look like. So let's jump into that. So once you go into the call queue, this will give you a list of all the customers that are due for a call on a particular day. Every customer will have a history tab right next to it. And when I click into this history, this works like a customer card. So this becomes your one source of truth about that account. Any previous conversation, audit trails, email reminders that have gone out, even change in CreditorWatch risk scores are highlighted in here. So you know that if it's falling down, you need to do something about that account. You can pin notes on the top. So even if one credit manager goes on leave and someone else picks up, they know exactly what to do with the account. You can see all your invoices on the right-hand side, and you can also resend invoices from here. So when you're making the phone calls and if any of your customers give you that excuse they haven't received the invoice, you can just resend out of here. And then at the bottom, we have got a couple of prompts. So these are the things generally credit managers hear when they're making the calls. So you can just simply select any one of these and add them to the notes, and then it will be visible to all the relevant people in the organization. From here, I would go into the schedule section. So this is where you can see what Collect will be sending out next. So you've got that entire summary. I know in the next 2 days, this customer will be getting that reminder. But if you ever want to stop something, you can just simply select it and pause it, or you can send it immediately. Now, just because we're automating things, it doesn't mean everything will just blow out. We've got multiple checks in place to make sure, if you want to stop something at any time, you can always jump in and do that. And then we go into the accounts. This is where you've got the visibility of your entire ledger. You can see who your customers are, how much they owe you, but also the added layer of CreditorWatch risk scores right next to it. Now, when you prioritize your collections, we highly recommend that doing it based on risk scores rather than just amount or aging. So if there's anyone that's above C3, they are your high-risk customers, and they may not be able to make your payments in the next few months. You can have multiple customers, so that's where you can use these filters and create your own list. You can slice the data based on all of these parameters that you have. Some examples can be, if you want to do it based on aging, so I keep these 30, 60, 90 days list in here. It can be based on risk scores. It can be based on, if you want to see all your disputed invoices in one place, you can see that as well, and so on. So you have lots of options to filter the data. And then finally, we've got reporting here. So if you want to see how your ledger is performing over a period of time, from a cash flow perspective, but also from an efficiency perspective, this reporting can come in quite handy. So on the top, you've got all your important numbers, DSO and ADD. You can see who your top debtors are, which workflow they're sitting in, what their risk scores are like. If I tap into high risk, I can see who my high risk debtors are as well. Further down, I've got a breakdown of my workflows, so I can see what's overdue and outstanding in each of these workflows. So if you want to see the effectiveness of the workflow, this can be a great way to look at it. A breakdown of your aged receivables, so you can also see credit notes in here. And then from an efficiency perspective, we have got this team activity performance. So you can see how many calls have been made, how many emails have been sent, percentage of calls leading to payments, and then also a graph of your call outcomes. And then an activity trend, which shows you over a period of time on how the activity is performing. And while these insights are great and they give you really good visibility and control, what's coming up next is even more fun, which is around the priority intelligence, which Josh will show you in a second.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Shreya. As Shreya touched on, before we wrap up, I wanted to give you a quick look at something new that we're bringing into Collect called Priority Intelligence, which is coming in the next few weeks. It's a really exciting addition because it takes everything you've seen today, the workflows, the automation, the follow-ups, and adds a layer of smart behavioral insight to top it off. So rather than explain it, I'm just going to show you this video, which will do a much better job of articulating it than I ever could.
Priority Intelligence helps you prioritize accounts by automatically organizing them into 3 clear risk buckets, so you can spot trouble early and act faster. You'll see deteriorating, going dark, and high value at risk, each revealing a different warning signal in your ledger. Deteriorating flags customers whose payment behavior is starting to slip. Going dark surfaces accounts that have gone quiet and stopped engaging. And high value at risk brings your biggest exposures to the top, where overdue balances and risk signals could have the greatest impact. Fine-tune the thresholds that by each bucket, payment trend, overdue amounts, engagement, and risk levels, so the system reflects your credit policy and appetite for risk. As you adjust the thresholds, the buckets update instantly, helping you balance workload, capacity, and priority in real time. Preview your buckets to see how Priority Intelligence applies to your portfolio.
Awesome. So that's Priority Intelligence. And yeah, we think it's just going to be such a game changer being able to look at those risk scores and, at risk indicators and be able to prioritize your accounts and your follow-ups based on that. So we're really excited to launch that. And that's kind of it from us. Want to thank you again for joining us today. Massively appreciate your time. I'm just going to drop a quick live poll in, which will ask you whether you'd want to receive a follow-up call from a member of our sales team. So if you have any questions or want a deeper walkthrough or want to explore how Collect could work with your ERP or your customers, just drop a note in there to say, yes, please contact me and our sales team will be in touch. Otherwise, you'll also receive a follow-up email after the webinar. So you can quickly reply to that and our team will be in touch as soon as possible. So I'll just give it a couple of seconds for you guys to fill that out. Well, that's it from us today. Hope you found it useful. We'd love to help if you're looking to help streamline your collections or strengthen your cash flow. But otherwise, hope you have a great rest of your day and got something out of the session.
Thank you all.